Not sure if I went too quickly in the videos where I was explaining these things, so I'm going to do a few examples and just make sure that everything is very clear and give a little bit of practice. So in this first example, it's just a question of what are we looking at. That's all I'm going to try to answer here. Um, we have one note, so that's pretty simple, and it's a whole note. Okay, and what pitch is it? Pitch is the vertical here, so we know the spaces of the treble clef. That's what this is, the G clef, because it sort of roughly looks like a G. We know that they go F, A, C, E, and those are the spaces. And this one's on a space, so that works out. We know that the pitch of this is an A. I probably need a new color now. It's an A. We know that for sure. And it doesn't have any sharps or flats in front of it. And it's in 4/4 time. The entire piece is in 4/4 time. And I'll take a quick aside here and just say what 4/4 means. The top 4 means that there are 4 beats per measure. And a measure is in between the in this case purple, but in between the lines here. So, this is one at the beginning of the piece, and then that's another one. And then the next measure, to the next purple line could have, 4 quarter notes or whatever, but it would have to add up to 4 beats in every measure. So this one is a whole note, so it looks like it does, and that's sort of what the bottom 4 means. The bottom 4 means that a fourth note or a quarter note, okay? 4 is for a quarter note. A quarter note gets a beat. So I'll just draw a quarter note equals 1 beat. Okay? So that means a whole note equals 4. And we have 4 beats in the measure, so everything kind of agrees with itself. That's good. So in A, that's played for 4 beats. An A that is played for the entire measure. So I think that's all we have for that first example. We'll go on to this one. And this is a little more complicated. We have 2 notes instead of just 1, but at least they're on the same line, which makes things a little easier. So in the treble clef, we went over what the lines mean, and I'll write them again, or what letters correspond to them. And it goes E, G, B, D, F from the bottom. And, I hope you can see that this is just every other of those. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F. It's every other note, or every other letter. But, this is a good thing to memorize. You can figure it out if you just know that the bottom one is E or whatever. You can figure out all the rest of them. But, if you have a note up here and you want to know quickly what it is, it's sometimes easier to just go E, G, B, D, F and know what it is. But anyway, what are these 2 notes? They are both E. So we can write E. And then what's the timing of them? Well, we're in 4/4 time. So, to start, we'll look at the bottom 4, and it tells us that a quarter note gets 1 beat. So this one is a quarter note. The first one is filled in and has a tail, which tells us it's a quarter note. Just to review, on the first one, it's not filled in and it doesn't have a tail. That's what means it's a whole. So that gets 1 beat. So, 1. And then this other note is a little more mysterious. Because it's not filled in and it has a tail, that makes it a half note. But then it also has this dot, and we said that the dot means that we add half of the original value. So if a half note, and the tail direction doesn't matter, but just that it has a tail, So a half note is equal to 2, or 1/2 of a whole, right? And a quarter note is equal to 1/4 of the whole. So a half note is 2 beats. 2 beats, assuming you're in 4/4 time, which we are right now. And then you have to add, I'm using blue too much, but 2 beats, and then you add, let's see, I'll use this color, and then you add half of that, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and so that dotted half note is 3. The dotted half note is 3. Okay, so I guess, I'll just write a 3 here. I'll use blue. Okay, so we have an E, the note E, that is played for 1 beat, and then it's repeated again for 3. And that's different than just writing a whole note, because you actually pick up the key or you stop playing, whatever instrument you have. And so it's 1 beat and then 3 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold it down. And 1 plus 3, it adds up to 4, so we have 4 beats in our measure. So I think we're all set there. C, D, E. One quick thing I want to check really quick is if you understand, if I put a sharp right here, is what's going to happen to this note? Well, this sign, the pound sign or number sign, means it goes up 1/2 a step. So then what's it going to go to? You might be inclined to say F right here in between, and that you'd be able to rewrite it just on that space. But that's not entirely right, because when you look at the keyboard, that's a black key, that's a black key. That's not right. Okay, that's our C, D, E. And then the next key is F, with a black key there. And oh, I said it backwards, but yes, it's not an E sharp, because there is no E sharp here. It goes straight to F. So I said it backwards, but that's what I meant to imply here, is that it would go straight to an F and it would be equivalent. But if we were trying to raise a C, it would just be a C sharp, and you couldn't say that it was equal to B. If you don't understand that, it's not a huge problem. It's not what we're doing right now. I just wanted to quickly throw it out there. So here we have 4 notes on the next example. And notice the key signature, or not the key signature, the time signature changed. We're now in 4/2 time. So what does that mean again? 4 means that we want 4 beats per measure. If I can write that. And this 2 on the bottom means that a half note gets a beat. Okay? So this is the one that's sort of tricky. Adding up to 4 isn't too bad, but then a half note getting a beat, what does that mean? That's rather than a half note getting 2 beats up here, or well, I guess we didn't do any half notes, but here a quarter note got a beat. Now on this one, a half note gets a beat. So each one of these is 1. And it's sort of like dividing the whole music by 2, or dividing the speed by 2, I guess. But it just makes it easier to write sometimes. You don't see 4/2 time too often. It's usually 2/2. But just for this example, I wanted to show what these numbers actually mean. So we want 4 beats in the measure, and each one of these is worth 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's 4. So that works out. And what note is this on? In the treble clef, we go F, A, C. So they're all C's. So I don't know, that's pretty self-explanatory. One thing that I want to throw out is if we had an accidental, I guess I'll just use red. Say we put a flat sign here. Okay? Then this would be a C. And this would be a C. And then this one would change to C flat. Oh, I wrote it backwards. C flat, which we know because of this is actually just another note. It's a B. But, I don't know, I could have done a sharp. But the point is, this one changes. This note changes, and also this one does. And the reason these both change is because they're in the same measure. The measure, I should have drawn this red, but from here to here is the first measure of the piece. And so this one isn't affected by the accidental. Sorry, if you just throw in a random sharp or flat, that's called an accidental. And so this one isn't affected, this one isn't affected, and then both of these are, because everything after the accidental to the end of that is affected by it. And if we had another C right here, that would just be a C. So if you see those, now you know what to do. And last example, because I'm already over 10 minutes, is now we have a bass clef, or an F clef. And this we said before just means the lower register, but to be a little more precise, I want to show something quickly. I'll pick a good color, bright pink. Okay, so we said about ledger lines. So the note right here is middle C. It's below the G clef. Okay, this is how the G clef and the F clef relate. This note, one ledger line below the G clef, is called middle C, and in the exact same way, one ledger line above the F clef is the exact same note, middle C. Okay? That I hope you can visualize that. It's just there's one note that's sort of tied between them, and that's how they all line up. So I'm not actually including that in the piece, but so what are these three notes? Well, on the bottom we can't use the same F, A, C, E, because then this wouldn't be a C. So if this is a C, middle C, which we know, we can work off of that and figure out the rest of them. So C, B, A. So this line is an A, but really we're interested in spaces for this one. So I'll say this space is a B, or oh, sorry, it's a G. It's one lower than A. And then the line would be an F. This would be an E. And then what goes before E? A, B, C, D, E. So D, and then a C is this line. And B is, or the C is the space. B is the line below it, and A is this bottom space. So there are mnemonics to remember this. All cows eat grass is one that I use. All children emit gas, if that's easier for you to remember. So then, you know, to wrap this up, we can go quickly and say that this is a C, that's an E, and that's a G. And there's no sharps or flats or anything, so that's just what they are. And then I showed you this quickly before, but if they look, I guess they should have been filled in, but if they look like eighth notes, which is, you know, when they have this bar across, or if they were to have a flag, that would be an eighth note. Eighth note. But then it has this 3 above, which makes it a triplet. So this entire piece takes up one beat. Each of them takes up 1/3 of a beat. And I didn't draw the time signature because I just wanted to quickly show the bass clef and how these work. So all children emit gas, and G, B, D, F, A are the lines, just to wrap this up. And so I might do more examples, I don't know, but I hope that clears things up if I was confusing before.